And in terms of Joss, is he good to keep as well?
Yeah, he's fully fit.
And Moeen Ali comes back in?
Yeah, great news. Obviously, Mo's wife gave birth to a baby girl, all healthy and well, so it's great to see him back.
So what's your decision that you've got to make in terms of the seamer that makes way? What will go into that decision?
Whether we feel we might go with 4 like we did in Cardiff, or 2 spinners might be more effective. And the decision behind what seamers is always the balance to be good enough to win the game against the West Indies.
And we can hear the rain pummeling down now. It's starting to have a big impact on this tournament. Is there any concern for you looking ahead that it might impact your chances of making the semi-finals?
I don't think the rain will be the reason we don't make the semi-finals. I think today's probably the last of the significant rain for the next few days. I know the last 3 days, I think, haven't been great for sides trying to get games in, but at some stage during the tournament we were going to be hit by a small bit of rain. It's great that it's not too much, and hopefully it doesn't impact one team more than twice.
And what's your feeling on the fact there are no reserve days? Do you think it's fair?
Yes, I do think it's fair. The tournament is quite a long tournament as it is. I think to have reserve days in the group stages is too much. I do think later in the tournament they are necessary, but for group stage games I think it's part and parcel of being anywhere in the world, the fact that it might rain at some stage.
And how highly do you rate this West Indies side? We saw in the winter both teams pushing each other all the way. What do you make of them?
Yeah, they're a strong outfit. We expect the exact same tomorrow. They're explosive with the bat, and a different challenge with the ball. A lot of the seamers are quite tall and look to hit the wicket, and obviously the majority of the time they only play one spinner, so that's going to be the challenge here.
And for Jofra Archer, is this the perfect opportunity to show them what they missed?
No, I think that sort of opportunity has been going for some time now. Jofra's been very consistent over a long period of time since he came to Sussex. It's great that he's in an England shirt at the moment. He won't know how it'll feel until he plays the game tomorrow. I think being in that position myself, it does feel different the first time you play against a side that either you could have potentially played for or played for. But I'm sure he'll handle it like he's handled everything else throughout the tournament so far.
Yeah, from what you've seen of Jofra and work with him in an England context, do you think that opportunity is more likely to, I suppose, inspire him rather than intimidate him?
Every challenge he's come up against so far, he's come out the other side of it really well. So I mean, let's just see how it goes. We're not expecting anything majorly different. Yeah.
It's always interesting though how cricket kind of evolves, isn't it? And what we thought maybe would be a match-winning combination for any team at the start of the World Cup maybe changes as the World Cup begins. I mean, fast bowling has really been a big part of the World Cup so far, isn't it? I mean,
it has,
It proves that you need to have a fast bowler at your disposal.
Yeah, if not 1-2. Even the game yesterday, Australia against Pakistan, the big impact was when Stark came back at the end of the innings to take those wickets.
And has anything you've seen from the West Indies change your view of how to play against them? I mean, clearly fast bowling has been a big thing for them so far.
Yeah, no, it's still the same. Right from the first game that they've played in this tournament, even when you go back to games that we played in the winter, big games where they made big contributions, all had to do with their fast bowlers.
Oh, and can we just circle back to Mark Wood just for a second? Is it the left ankle?
I think it is. I'm not 100% sure though, so don't take that as gospel.
Yeah, and just in terms of this being a problem that rears its head semi-regularly, are you mindful if he pulls up, if he misses this game, for example, that you might have to manage him a little more carefully and maybe not play successive back-to-back games with him?
Not really. It's part of the plan because they are fast bowlers. It will happen to other bowlers throughout the tournament. We're well aware of that, and we will have to manage them like we would normally, as we do with, say, Chris Wokes if there was a back-to-back game. So it's not a problem. It's just it's what happens. And
in terms of the West Indies, are you expecting a slightly different kind of game than the ones we saw in the Caribbean recently? It was kind of a slugfest with the number of sixes.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if the wickets are as good. Obviously, the parameters of the ground here are a lot bigger than the West Indies as well. But given that the wicket's been under covers for the last 24 hours, I don't think it'll be as good.
Of all the teams in this tournament, the West Indies is the only side that you failed to beat in your most recent series against them. Does that fill you with a little bit of frustration?
I don't think it's not frustration, because we learned a huge amount about growing our game out in the West Indies. The fact that we're not getting carried away about some of the success that we've had. I think it's important to have days where you are beaten or can't beat a side, because you then look even more into areas of improvement, as opposed to beating sides convincingly or even getting over the line, showing good character and playing well. You almost look outwardly and say, right, well, what were we missing today?
What did you learn specifically about your last ODI against them when you were bowled out for 113?
Yeah, more so playing on bouncy wickets. That our shot selection, it wasn't great at all. Continuing to get out in the same way, as opposed to showing better game awareness and trying to manage that, because with the benefit of hindsight, getting some sort of score on the board would have allowed us to stay in the game and possibly win the game, because opportunities to score were a little bit more difficult than we'd come up against in that series.
Thank you.
Do you think the West Indies are a chance of winning this tournament?
Well, they're here. They're a chance.
But I mean, they beat you guys. You obviously number one, team in the world. They beat you in a couple of games in that series and played really good cricket. Are they at that level, or are they still maybe more of an upset team at this stage?
I haven't played enough cricket against them or watched them enough to give a good account of them. So that's probably the honest answer.
In the middle here. Sorry.
Sorry, Owen, just one more. In terms of the wickets and the bail, there's been a bit of a talking point, the ball hitting the stumps and the bail's not coming off. Can I just ask what you've made of it? Have you got a theory on why it's happening so often?
I don't have a theory, no. I don't. I'm watching it like you are. Yeah.
Have you been surprised? What's been your reaction?
More so surprised that when the balls hit the actual stump with full contact, as opposed to the balls clipped the stump for years and made a noise, and guys have been given a cut behind. That's happened a lot in the past. I think with the benefit of the unbelievable cameras that are around now, you spot that. But more surprised about when the ball hits the stumps, trickles back with spin and hits it. Yeah.
Nothing's changed according to the ICC. Does that seem the case to you?
No, I think it's fine. I don't know how long the zing bails and the stumps have been around now, but it's like any new gadget. The more you play, the more problems probably you see than actually the benefit of it.
Rory, I'll take a couple more.
And just in terms of that previous series again, and the way Chris Gale had such great success against you, have you gone back over that, reviewed that series and come up with new plans, or is it business as usual?
Both. So we've looked at previous series where we've played at home and plans that have worked, and also when we've played on, like recently in the Caribbean, on very flat wickets where he is hard to contain. We've also planned for that as well.
Vish, last one.
You mentioned before about having been in the same position that Archer was all those years ago, about playing against a team that you might have played for or had played for. Obviously, he seems to take everything in his stride anyway, but can you talk a bit about, I suppose, what you found difficult about it?
I didn't necessarily find it difficult. I found it just a different challenge as opposed to a difficult challenge. Just different.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.